If you walked into a casino with $1,000 today, which game would give you the best chance of leaving with more money? Most people don't know, and casinos make billions because they don't know. In this video, we're going to uncover the game that gives players the best odds, the game casinos love the most, the biggest gambling win ever recorded, the biggest gambling loss in history, and why casinos don't actually care if you win tonight. Because the real product inside a casino isn't gambling, it's your attention. Let's start with a simple question. How much money do casinos actually make? In 2023, commercial casinos in the United States generated approximately $66.5 billion in revenue. That was the highest number ever recorded. But here's the shocking part. More than $35 billion came from slot machines alone. Table games generated only around $10 billion. That means slot machines produced more than 3 times the revenue of blackjack, roulette, baccarat, and many other games combined. Why? Because slot machines are not designed around winning. They're designed around engagement. A blackjack hand takes time. A roulette spin takes time. A poker game takes time. But slot machines can generate dozens of betting decisions every minute. More bets, more repetition, more opportunities for the math to work. And over time, the math always works. This mathematical advantage is known as the house edge. The house edge is the percentage of money the casino expects to keep over the long run. The key phrase is, over the long run. Casinos do not need you to lose today. They only need you to keep playing. And that is where psychology enters the picture. Most people think gambling addiction comes from winning. But neuroscience tells a different story. The brain often releases more dopamine while expecting a reward than after receiving one. That means anticipation can be more addictive than success itself. Casinos understand this perfectly. Every flashing light, every near miss, every sound effect, every almost jackpot exists to keep your brain chasing the next reward. Not because you're winning, but because your brain believes the next win could be right around the corner. Now, let's answer the question most players never ask. Which games are actually best for players? Surprisingly, blackjack sits near the top. When played with perfect basic strategy, the house edge can be as low as half of 1%. That means the casino expects to keep roughly 50 cents for every $100 wagered over time. Baccarat is also surprisingly favorable. The banker bet carries a house edge of roughly 1%. European roulette is next, with a house edge of around 2.7%. American roulette is worse because of the extra double zero. That pushes the house edge to approximately 5.26%. Then we arrive at slot machines. Depending on the machine, the house edge can range from roughly 2% to more than 10 or even 15%. And keno can be even worse. Some versions of keno carry house edges exceeding 25%. So why do casinos make so much money from slots? Because most people don't choose games based on mathematics. They choose games based on emotion, excitement, hope, entertainment, and the dream of a life-changing jackpot. Speaking of jackpots, let's talk about the biggest wins and losses ever recorded. One of the most famous gambling winners was Australian billionaire Kerry Packer. During one legendary streak, he reportedly won somewhere between $20 and $40 million. Several megabucks slot machine jackpots have paid more than $30 million to individual players. Stories like these spread around the world. But there is another side to the story. Terence Watanabe reportedly lost more than $200 million gambling in Las Vegas. At one point, he allegedly lost around $127 million in a single year. Think about that. $127 million. gone. These stories create headlines, but they also create something even more valuable for casinos: hope. Because for every giant winner people hear about, there are thousands of losing stories nobody talks about. And this is where casinos become truly fascinating. They are not really gambling businesses. They are attention businesses. Why do casinos have so few clocks? Why are there almost no windows? Why are exits difficult to spot? Why does every machine flash, ring, and celebrate tiny wins? Because casinos want you to stay. Time is the real product. The longer you remain inside the system, the more opportunities probability has to work against you. But perhaps the most dangerous casino trick isn't the games themselves. It's the illusion of control. Imagine a roulette wheel lands on red 5 times in a row. Most people immediately think black is now more likely. But mathematically, nothing has changed. The wheel has no memory. Every spin is independent. Yet humans are pattern-seeking machines. We constantly search for meaning, even when no pattern exists. Casinos benefit enormously from this. Players increase their bets, chase their losses, and convince themselves that the next spin will finally change everything. The casino doesn't need players to be bad at mathematics. It only needs them to be human. And here's the most fascinating part. Casino psychology no longer exists only inside casinos. Social media platforms use variable rewards, notifications, likes, comments, followers. Every refresh creates anticipation. Dating apps keep users chasing validation. Streaming services autoplay content endlessly. Online stores trigger emotional spending. The same psychological systems casinos perfected decades ago now exist inside your phone. Different products, different screens, different environments, but the same hidden pattern. So if you ever find yourself inside a casino, remember this. The smartest question isn't, how do I beat the casino? The smarter question is, why was this environment designed this way? Because casinos don't need to control your money directly. They only need to control your attention long enough for mathematics to do the rest. The casino was never really selling games. It was selling hope. And hope, when combined with probability, becomes one of the most profitable business models ever created. In fact, casinos don't care whether you win tonight. They don't even care whether you win this weekend. They care whether you come back. Because the longer you play, the more likely the mathematics eventually take over. And mathematics never gets emotional. It never chases losses. It never gets tired. Never gets greedy. Over time, the house edge quietly does exactly what it was designed to do. And that's why casinos remain some of the most profitable businesses on Earth. Not because they're lucky, not because they're smarter, but because they understand human psychology better than most people understand themselves. The lights, the sounds, the layouts, the rewards, the anticipation. Every piece of the system is carefully engineered to keep you engaged. And once you recognize that pattern, you begin to see it everywhere. Different companies, different apps, different products, the same psychological principles, the same attention traps, the same hidden pattern. Hidden patterns. See what others don't.